start of it was just going to the doctors. It was something completely unrelated, and then the doctor being like, "Oh, have you got your hepatitis B vaccine?" Because I'm 98% gay, 2% never say no. And that denote that when I go to the doctors, they offered this out so freely, and had all my vaccines before. My parents got me vaccinated, and then so I thought nothing of it, and then got it, and then it just shut down my life.
So did it happen like literally immediately after that?
It was pretty soon after, basically. Because it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and the doctors are gaslighting me, telling me I'm absolutely fine because he's done one fucking blood test.
Did you know that when you went there, were you like, no, you don't trust what they're saying? Like,
well, one of the first doctors down that line was did one blood test and saw that it was generally fine within the averages, and then told me that there's nothing wrong with me. It's all in my head.
Oh,
yeah. Like, said it very aggressively, like, because I was pleading with him to say, no, there's something wrong with me.
Welcome to the New Monks. This podcast is dedicated to those of us on the journey of evolution. Through these episodes, we will dive into the lives of individual people and discover what they have learnt and how they have handled their growth. We believe that we all have wisdom to be shared with each other and can learn from listening to each other's stories. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you feel like leaving us a review and sharing the love, that would be greatly appreciated. So this is just a heads up because, there's a lot of information that is coming to light at the moment, and through these episodes, each person is going to share a different side of that for them. Now, this isn't to say that every single thing that is shared here is going to be 100% accurate, It's just not where we are right now. It's just not the case of the unraveling and the disclosures that are being revealed to us. Obviously, things are always changing, and in one moment something can be so real and so true, and the next moment is completely shifted and changed into something else. This is the journey of evolution. This is the journey of ascension that we are going through right now. So this is just an invitation that your discernment is really, really important. As always, as usual, please take what resonates and leave the rest. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to the New Monks podcast. In today's episode, I am speaking to Carl. Now, Carl has a very interesting story, and I feel like an important one for so many people because he managed to recover and heal himself from an autoimmune disease, which many people seem to be getting recently. And specifically this one, I feel like I have heard so many of my own friends and friends of friends who really suffer from this thing called fibromyalgia. And he basically explains that he got it from receiving I don't even know if I'm allowed to say these words anymore. But shot, you know what. And it took him a couple of years, I think, to figure out what was really going on. And he found this amazing book that really described many different ways that you could catch this, contract this autoimmune disease, and the ways in which to heal it through natural medicine as well as through pharmaceuticals. At the time, he was very desperate, so he took the pharmaceutical path. And he said almost really quickly it helped him to get his energy levels back and to basically heal. So I think this is a really, really important story because a lot of the time, as he says and mentions in this episode, is that you're just told that this is what you have and you have to live with it for the rest of your life. And actually, he is a living example of that not being the case. And so hope you enjoy his wisdom. So, welcome to the New Monks podcast. In today's episode, speaking to Carl.
hi. That way.
And we were just having a conversation the other day, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story through healing, through autoimmune, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quite a journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and just as you were speaking, I was thinking, this story needs to be told, because so many people have all sorts of things and have no idea what could be the cause,
Yeah.
So but before we begin, I like to just take a few deep breaths.
I'm kind of doing it. I'm like, thank you.
And then how are you feeling right now?
Reminded of the power of one breath or three every time. And realigning that nervous system and just taking that 1, 2, 3 breaths. Do quite a lot of shifting in that. So feeling more grounded, more calm. Also, like I'm on 1 hour's sleep in the last however many hours. Yeah. Which is actually great. It's if you can, and if you're not in the world of boundaries and
yes, wow,
then it's actually really okay to be a bit tired and a bit 1 foot in, 1 foot out, as I say. So that's the
yeah I like that, actually, just what you said, because sometimes we can be so in the order and think, but I need to get to sleep and I need to, and it's such a big thing as well. And I feel like sometimes when you just allow it to flow, it's just you just feel what you're feeling, and you just that's so cool.
Also feeling interested and stepping back into what I just want to be in this first podcast of my life. Well, second, really. Actually, I did one before.
Nice. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But the first, I'm like a guest and what that is and what it looks like, and then actually just stepping back into myself. Always funny how this human brain's like, oh, what about this? What about this? Why don't you be different to what it is that you normally are? Stay safe, I suppose. I'm trying to stay safe. But actually, I am safe. It's much safe. Like, honestly, at the same point, fuck off safety. If it's for full expression, then I'm okay. I'm brave enough to swearing on your podcast. You can bleep check. That's gonna happen. It's just interesting that being on this platform and this way of communicating, which is just a chat, a few technologies in front of us. That the brain comes in and wants to go, just be like this, don't smile too much, don't. Interesting. That's another thing I'm feeling.
It's like there's a heightened awareness.
I'm just gonna ignore it this time. Just chat to you. Good. How about you? Flip and reverse. How feeling?
Nice. I'm feeling good. I feel like I feel quite rested. And quite calm, quite peaceful. And I'm just looking forward to hearing more about what you were sharing with me the other day as well. So where to start from here then? I feel like you were saying to me about that specific incident, but I'm also wondering if we can go before that, do you know what I mean? What because obviously a lot of people speak about their spiritual awakenings, so how do you connect with that term, and was there a essence that you always felt your whole life, or was there a moment that you feel like I always find that interesting because some people, there was like a big, and others, it was just like always, you know?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to zoom back to sort of see if there were sort of those spiritual connected times in my life before I sort of knew what it was. And I think when I was a wee babby, I kind of was like that. I was very joyful as like a kid or like a young child. Yeah, it was really interesting. So I think it was in some deep connection of joy then, which is like an expression of the spirit to me.
Yeah,
And like
sure.
the eyes of the babes, like so beautifully connected when they first come out, and then the stories start coming in left, right, and center. Opportunities to forget and remember. But I think so mine was that really was the boost for mine was the on the path, whatever that means to people, the spiritual way, the awareness way, waking up, was the health problem. And also I think as well, COVID. Yeah, like that period of time, I was deep in the source of what is 3D bullshit.
Really?
Beep. Beep. Yeah, I was working in a warehouse in Wellingborough, and if anybody, shout out to Wellingborough, it's a shithole. It's like, no, it's all right, it's cute. Sorry, Wellingborough.
Careful with the table, because
expression.
It will come. Yeah. You have to find something else.
Yeah, just instead of being like, nobody wants to listen to that. Yeah. Well, in Wellingborough, and then in the Midlands, during all of that rubbish and lockdown, and working in a warehouse, which was just like modern day slave houses. They're just work houses. They're not places, not nice places to be and work. And every movement is timed, like percentages of what you're doing, and refined. If not, then you're out. And they're like giant, horrible spaceships. I mean, look at them. These giant warehouses. They're like kilometers, or feel like kilometers from one end to the other. It's just all these separate companies supplying everything that capitalist world needs, really, and this online buying stuff.
Yeah.
And that was when I first got one of my first teachers coming in my life.
So what were you doing in that specific area? Did you live around there?
Yeah, I moved. I think basically most of my life, in some ways, I've been paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. One incident away from being fucked. Not anymore. I'm actively working on some amazing things that I'm like enough to get the resources to do the things that I want to do. But yeah, that was another point in time that was largely, I think it was, I moved to stay with my friend. Just needing a helping hand, was nearly homeless. Like, it was, a really challenging time. And stayed with my friend, and that sort of got me to Wellingborough. And
where is it as well?
It's in the Midlands. Yeah, that's the point. Where is it? It's like, I think it would be really beautiful, like a really quaint town if it just had a bit more money in it, like a lot of these places.
A lot of those places.
Yeah, actually, if there's some investment, then it actually really beautiful. It does have sun. It's got a new train station. Yeah, really easy to get from London.
And where are you from? Where did you grow up?
All over. Yeah, that's what the accent's for. Lived in Scotland, then moved to when I was very young. My parents are both ex-military. One of them, mum, dad, stepdad, one in the Navy as chefs. And then along comes big gay unicorn. And says, don't want to do that anymore. Let's do things differently. But yes, I moved around a lot with that when I was a baby and then younger, and things like Scotland, and then Portsmouth and Plymouth, and like Cornwall, and then London, and then down the road, actually not too far from here in London when I was younger, and then settled in Northamptonshire, the Midlands, for a bit, and then Kerbal went to New Zealand. Settled there, lived in New Zealand for 4.5 years, and then moved back. And then there's a whole other series of moves on there as well, like Wales, Newcastle. Still a bit of a nomad, apparently.
And that was all with your parents?
No, up till after New Zealand. That was through them. I was young. I was like 14.
Okay. Wow.
18. Yeah. It was beautiful. So many
lot of
lessons.
moving around.
Yeah, very nomadic, and it's interesting to come from that military first, or military cause to start, and then it must have carried on with me with the travel bug, that flexibility to move and wherever it is my home. They say, I don't know, wherever your heart is, your home. There's words there. It's a great, very meaningful quote there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where do we go? So it was like going round and going all the way around, traveling. And what was the question before? Where are you from?
No, careful with the table. No, you were in Wellington, you were saying. So you work in the factory, that's where we were.
Yeah, I wasn't born in Wellingborough. Just visiting one of my many stops. And it was, then that really...
So what was happening in the factory? Like, what was it creating? What was it?
It was lots of different companies. So I worked on Virgin Media. Shout out to y'all. Cringe. Shout out to the people that worked on it. There was like, I've never seen, through as shit as it was as a job, and as hard as it was as a job, was like, I've never seen so much camaraderie between human beings, which is very interesting and telling, I think, of us as a species, as a being, as a entity. Is that really, yes, the divide and conquer things come in, but try as they may, when the going gets tough, people will come together, and that's kind of our strength, really. We just do a little bit more of that coming together before it gets really shit. We'll see.
So you were saying you were working out. That was the first time when you kind of, after that, it
was during that I like sort of touched on the spiritual path, and it was from this incredible being.
Just be gentle.
Just like lay the cards out so I don't touch the table. There's people being on social media, and like everyone during that time, it was just really challenging. And
so that was 2020 when you were working there.
Yeah. And in these sort of places in the Midlands where you're like, great location, they've got these big spaceship warehouses that just supply the system. I don't know if you've seen them. Maybe if you've seen them on the M1 or something, you drive, you see them. They're fucking everywhere. Like, disguise them with blue banners to make it look like you can't see it, or less jarring than just big grey. Well, this one was just big and grey. There was no painting this old spaceship. And it was timed. Every movement was timed in Virgin Media. Every moment was timed, and if your percentage went down, they'd be chatted to. If you were talking too much, and you chatted to. And it's just watching this clock go by, bit by bit, minute by minute, while the society sort of stops and gets weird as fuck. And you're an essential worker as well. So key point, these people who are doing this stuff are all essential workers.
So you were working when the lockdown was taking place?
Yeah. I did not have a lockdown holiday.
Really?
I'd never worked so hard and gone through so much stuff as I did. Along with millions of people as well. That just endlessly worked. It was like when Huel became popular, I worked with them, and like on night shift in that warehouse, just making boxes of these Huel stuffers during COVID. Huel lifted and drink your meals, and shout out to Huel. Doing shout outs, I'm joking. Okay. It was horrible. It was a job. It was really challenging and really tough, and I think that's a catalyst as well. But also there's another part with my mum. Me and my mum hadn't been speaking for like a couple of years at that point as well, after just getting really toxic and horrible. It was really challenging on both sides and really not nice. So that was a key part of it as well, is that around that time I believe I was like coming back into that union with my mama bear, who I love loads and have reconnected with through that journey of returning to self. And that was a big key cornerstone of those first teachings, which was the path of Ish in the Jaguar and Mayan teachings. And a big part of that is straight away getting on the shadow work, the play, the welcoming in those parts of yourself and seeing, enlightening, and then awareness to things that you don't want to see. And obviously with that was a big part was the connection with my mum.
Gotcha. So wait, you said you found someone on social media, right? Who was that?
That's Marita, one who catches lightning. Shout out to them.
What's it called?
Marita is her name, their name, sorry. One who catches lightning. She's an incredible guide there, incredible guide and teacher.
And you just found the profile?
Yeah, Facebook algorithms before it got super weird. Maybe was like, yeah, she came through with a video, a free offering. Really, that's what people be doing, is like offering a little free offering when you're doing these things to give people a trial, a taste, I suppose, and then get some promo out there.
So before this, do you feel like you were like, just in the kind of 3D world?
Yeah. Yeah, but then also like
in some ways,
because it was different times. Like before then, I had the health condition, this autoimmune disease from a hepatitis B vaccine adverse reaction.
So what were the years of that?
Now we're talking. I live in such no time now in some ways. I can go back when I was with my ex, which was like 2018 was like the end of that. 2019.
Okay, so you had that, and then the lockdown stuff happened.
Gotcha. And by that point, I was physical enough, like within stuff, to be able to lift and stuff like that, but still healing. And then it was like I think like a lot of these spiritual awakenings, whatever you want to call it, is it's just a catalyst from this so-called darkness in the world, and it's kind of beautiful, really, is because the more of that happens, the more that the so-called darkness kicks up a fuss and throws its tools out on the pram, the more that actually fuels the light. So it's a really interesting one that in that expression of spiritual awakening, that can be quite often the same. Through that darkness, we get back to the light and the wholeness and one.
I mean, I feel like that is the journey, really.
I think so. So yeah, it's a very interesting question. Yeah, that was my catalyst, I would say. My mum bear, getting back reunited with her, going through the autoimmune disease, coming out through that, and then landing in this horrible spaceship workhouse thing during COVID. That's crazy. What did you do in COVID? What was your COVID like?
Yeah, it was good, actually. I wasn't working. So
nice.
it's just like this time opened up.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm going to make some music.
Nice. That's beautiful.
So yeah, I got really into it. And I was just like, yes. I was like, this feels like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I remember this, it was just so sunny those first days when it started, the lockdown.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Like blue skies.
Yeah, they were blue skies.
Real blue. Has anybody seen those blue skies since? I have not. It's always that white fucking haze on the horizon.
Literally.
Looking at it now, like blue, light blue, white.
White, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then like the lockdown, we have the summer of our dreams.
Yes.
It's like the best summer memory.
And you know, a lot of people say that was like the best year of their lives and stuff. So interesting.
Wow.
So back to the autoimmune. I mean, you just said it right there. Love it. But you got it from a vaccine. So
I think.
How did you find out? Like, what was the journey? How did you...
It was full of suffering, really unnecessary suffering for what it was. Like I said, we've chatted about this, so we're going to chat again. Is the start of it was just going to the doctors. It was something completely unrelated, and then the doctor being like, "Oh, have you got your hepatitis B vaccine?" Because I'm 98% gay. 2% never say no. And that denote that when I go to the doctors, they offered this out so freely, and had all my vaccines before. My parents got me vaccinated, and then so I thought nothing of it, and then got it, and then it just shut down my life.
So did it happen like literally immediately after that?
It was pretty soon after, yeah, because I was already maxed out. I was already working full time, been pretty independent since a young age, like working full time. And then doing a uni degree, marine biology as well. So it's like full sciencey. And so I'd finish work at 4 a.m. at the casino, and then have a lecture at 9 a.m. So like I was caning caffeine to get through. So where were we? autoimmune, and then when it started, like, yeah, get your hepatitis B vaccine while you're here, why not? And then I was already overloaded doing the science degree, doing the working till 4 a.m. and the casino night shift, and going out and getting fucked up.
Yeah.
And drinking lots, like all students get
Yeah.
indoctrinated to do through
Yes.
Freshers Week.
Yes, true.
Yeah, I think I gotta keep saying that. I think it's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Everything here is my opinion. Moving forward.
Yeah, but this is what you said about the freshers. It's so interesting because I feel like I stopped drinking when I was like 26, but I think yeah, it was kind of like, what are we doing? Like, what is this?
Well, technically poisoning yourself.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know.
That's literally it, isn't it? In like the longest, horriblest way.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's so normalized. But do you drink?
No.
So you stopped as well?
Yeah.
Through the autoimmune, is it? Or...
No. Well, it's funny because talking to you is like getting everything chronological,
Yeah,
which I haven't actually sat with. Like this long is great. I'm like, where does that slot in? It's like I think it was when I was in Wellingborough. Yeah. I had like a bottle of red because like my ex got me onto drinking red wine as like the healthier wine, alcohol, and I did actually like it in the end, or condition myself to like it. And then it just kept on coming straight through me. Like my body, it's another point in time where I could ignore my body talking to me or listen to it. And this time was being completely blunt. It would just go straight through me, like give me the shits. It's just the alcohol. Like the body just, how much more of a rejection from your body do you need of this booze than like just getting whoop. So like, if I'm not listening to it at that point, then what am I doing here? Same with caffeine. My body was just giving me, after caning caffeine to get through uni and do all those things, my body was giving me heart palpitations. Wow. It's like, why am I getting these palpitations now and again? And then the obvious thing is caffeine. Yeah. But that's not what comes to my mind first. It's anything but the naturalized, normalized thing that's definitely increasing my heart rate. Yeah. I mean, and that was again just ignore it, keep getting the little flutters and like and then I will stop it, and then I'll just quit that as well. So no caffeine for like 5 years, 4, and then no alcohol for 6, 5. I did like a once a half a year or once a year I'd remind myself I don't drink. Maybe everyone does that. Did you do that?
Well, that's so interesting because we actually ended up wanting to be like, oh, maybe we'll just like drink something nice every now and then.
Yeah.
But then like we had it and I was like, this is disgusting. So it did exactly what you said. Like it was
remind yourself you don't want to do it.
Literally.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? This intergenerational, this is for ancestors, time gone by, this external stimulant and vibe adjuster has impacted our humanity in all sorts of ways. Like trying to imagine that, but we can't really, probably with this brain. But yeah, like all the sort of like nudging and what alcohol used to be versus what it is now. We were saying this as well, like the industrialized vat-made alcohol. It's got to be a different vibration than like lovingly made, local made mead.
Yeah, interesting.
It's got to be a different vibration. But what about you? Do you think, what vibration do you think alcohol is? Because I have pretty like interesting experience with it. And it's like, I see it as a very distinct vibration shifter. As when people get pissed.
Yeah, totally. Especially when you witness it.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes it's the vibe, exactly, in the space, in the room, it's just like, yeah.
That's the word. That's the noises, like, slightly unsettling. Yeah. The safety changes for me, being honest. And this is not a judgment piece on anyone that drinks. Like, you go, people maybe don't, but
that's so true.
But if you want it, that's fine. Like, you know, I'm all about that. But I can't. It's just that
good word.
Yeah, it's
because it's like everything's a bit volatile. Yeah, like you don't know what.
Yeah, it is.
People are not acting in their.
Yeah.
But I did read Conversations with God, this book series, and it's so incredible. And in that book, and this just really resonated with me, it said alcohol is a poison, and it's not supposed to. Your body is not designed to drink alcohol. And I mean, it sounds like.
I wonder what the biochemical side of that is. Then I got like a scientist in me that it is technically like just a poison. Your body just gets rid of it through your liver and like excretes it, gets it out of your system, and along the way it causes damage. Like it's not like ganja where you've got these literal receptors all throughout your body that are cannabinoid receptors that link up and click up with the cannabinoids in the plant, like alcohol. I suppose it does play on all the other receptors like dopamine and GABA receptors, and has a whole complex situation. But I don't know if there's an actual like molecule fit for it. I don't know. I'm not that science
Well, and the other thing I think as well is interesting is the taste. Like I've never liked the taste. Like I feel like a lot of us are just forcing ourselves to like it until we do, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like the body's already saying no.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you put it in your
it's
taste
interesting,
it.
isn't it? Interesting, isn't it? But then you got the things like bitter things that taste
Yes,
bad, but they're really good medicine. So like curveball, I'm gonna like challenge it because like some of these medicines that we have that taste awful, but are incredible.
Well, you know as well what was interesting in the book, because then it said like, you know, how much alcohol is okay for a human body to take, and they were like none.
Yeah.
They just said none. Even in the medicines they said none.
That's mine. That's me. That's my body though. I think it's not really. I chose to try and choose differently, and every time it said hard no.
Yeah,
none.
Exactly. It's interesting, right?
And then interesting that like when I got COVID during the COVID thing, or got COVID, whatever the fuck, just felt ill, like didn't feel fucking good, was not feeling good.
Yeah.
That was actually after, and I'd quit alcohol for a little while. Yeah. And I just got onto mushroom tinctures.
Yes.
And it was so interesting because I did like all 6 of them, like to get the whole spectrum of these beautiful mushrooms, and then that resulted in like probably like a shot of alcohol every day, because it's like drop that I'm not used to as well. My body's not. And then literally, and then I got this illness, whatever it was, this body disorder.
Interesting. Yeah.
After being absolutely fine, like a year into it, nothing. And then that's what did it. And for me, like, I understand everybody's different. Every single body's different. And this is just my journey where I am. But personally, it was like, as I was going through this journey of expansion and learning an inner world journeying, my body just started naturally like ditching things.
Always. It's the same with me. It's just like, it's just not working anymore. It's just like, and you also stop craving it, wanting it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And even it's interesting what you're saying with the tinctures, because I think even if it's got the smallest amount, I can still taste it.
Same. Like I had one involuntarily given to me, tincture, from a friend at an event. And it was like, yeah, have some of this beautiful drink I've made. I'm like, great. And like shot it. I was like, whoa. It was just like pure alcohol, not alcohol. Tincture was in there. I was like, oh. And it just like coats your whole mouth and like dries it up, and like such an interesting thing.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the other thing. You know, shots.
Yeah.
It literally feels like it's ripping things out. Like the feel, you know, the sensation you get. Like
it's not nice. That's why everyone's faces screw up. Like that's why we disguise it with salt and lemon and sugar. And it's because it inherently tastes like shit.
Yeah, literally. Anyway.
We're just dissing on alcohol here, but like, do you know what I have in another sort of just bring it back, that we're not just like fucking it off, because there are and have been some throughout time immortal benefits to it. Like it saved our life once. We couldn't drink water because it was fucking cholera and all sorts of bacteria, and we had to drink beer because they would protect you, the ferments in there, the alcohol. So we relied on alcohol throughout all this time, and I think it's just very different. I'd love to do down the line an experiment with some of my more boozy friends. If they would drink the bottle of unbranded vodka and go hard on that, and then I wonder if the vibration changes if we were to give them like blessed mead, like blessed from the start to the end. We know the people to get that, and then what that vibration looks like, and just sort of test it out and see how it feels. Because I think it'll be different. I genuinely think it'll be different.
The thing is, though, with the alcohol, like I feel like it's just the progression of where we are. Because I think, like now we're using the tinctures, but for sure there's something else we can use. We don't need to use alcohol. Do you know what I mean? But that's just what we're using now, widely, and everyone knows it. So it's helping in that way, but actually there's probably even better solution, I think, personally.
Trouble is, like, alcohol is such a good extractor, like biochemically. Exactly. Like it's a hard one to match in terms of how efficient it is.
But this is the thing, like when you all of a sudden go onto vegan, all of a sudden all these new things start appearing that you never even knew about. Like, it's wild how
otherwise just chucking alcohol, which is an expression of the actual external thing as well. There's a whole world of things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, true.
It's so fascinating, really, that part as well.
Yeah, I did that with smoking. I got rid of tobacco, caning tobacco every single day, to now smoking ones made of lavender and mullein and
right.
and mugwort and all these native herbs and plants that we've been smoking for thousands of years, which are really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, each to their own, but then
completely different.
yeah, I mean that's burning. So I'm sure the some of the boozier friends would be like, "Excuse me, you smoke." But honestly, like zooming out here, this is what the non-judgment piece comes in: is that you see this world around us is ridiculously challenging in so many ways, and
that's so true.
And I think that's where the non-judgment piece comes in for anyone who does anything to alter this world and reality or shift it to something different. Is because like it's a bit shit in some ways. So maybe that's why loads of people drink and get fucked up from it, because it's a bit shit around them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes even not being aware of that as well. So anyway, that's how it works. This whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't have people aware of the rat race.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, I was going to say an experiment. Do you know there's an experiment with rats where they put them in I think it shocked them, like horrible shock horror, scientific shocking these rats to, or whatever, putting them in an environment they hated and then put them in an environment that was nice. Or was it isolation? That was it. I think it was something like that. They were isolated versus had someone there. I'm fucking butchering this experiment. But the whole premise was like when this rat was under pressure, divided, not feeling good, and they gave it an option of like cocaine laced water or something, or water, and it went for that. Like, it went for the drugs. Again, paraphrasing and butchering, but that's the point. Is like, and then it's like, okay, how much then are we just kicking ourselves and like gaslighting ourselves because the system at large is fucking us, and then we're all like, oh, you didn't do the thing. Oh, I can't believe you didn't do the thing to each other. Oh, I'm disappointed in you. Oh, I can't believe you took the drugs or did the alcohol. Can't believe all the disappointment, shame around it, and how horrible, really. That.
Oh yeah, I think that's the whole thing. And the journey is like, it's softening. It's also like having that compassion for yourself that we did do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like understanding why, and you know.
Precious. Sponsored by WKD.
Yeah,
and there's another gaslight, and then you go into university, and your first week is full of all this sponsored by alcohol, fresh as wildness, and then you get told off for the rest of the semester when you're going out partying and getting drunk again. It's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't start the whole fucking shebang with a week of getting fucked up then, right? Like, interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
So back to So back to autoimmune. So you basically had this injection, and then afterwards you had the symptoms.
Yeah, exhausted. Like this word, like so tired that it's beyond tired. Or exhaustion is the word. Like bodily exhausted. Like it's almost like the mitochondria in my cells weren't firing. Like cellularly exhausted. And it was a really sad journey, like the going undiagnosed for so long in the NHS because of how much it's on its knees, and also how much, I want to say little awareness there is around curing autoimmune diseases. Because as far as it is in the NHS right now, like I would have been uncurable, and to get cognitive behavioural therapy to learn to deal with the autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia.
Well, is that what it was?
Yeah, well, it went from chronic fatigue syndrome first, and then all the way up to fibromyalgia, and which is just I think a stronger expression, I think, of than chronic fatigue, because when you're in fibromyalgia, you're getting all the aches and like constantly every single step that I was taking would be sore and in pain. And,
so many people have that.
Yeah, millions of people, and that's why like I think they don't. Then they're not putting it out there, the awareness that it isn't. Is this? They're saying it's this incurable disease, and actually it's not. It's just, I believe it's part of, well, Dr. Teitelbaum, shout out to this guy, Jacob Teitelbaum in America, zooming all the way towards the end of the suffering after 2.5 years, and we can go into that. But he was my saving grace. It was my last ditch attempt yet again on that 2.5 year journey of suffering for a lot of it, and gaslighting for another part of it, and challenge and growth and expansion and fortification. yet again, I got a point where my relationship was being fucked over by my health problems, and I was crying in the bath on a last-ditch attempt, number whatever, and came across his video, which was I was a scientist, you know, I've got the scientific side of me. That was it was a lecture that I saw on YouTube where I clicked on it, and his view, long and short of it, is that it can come from this autoimmune disease, it can come from adverse reactions from vaccines, from pregnancy, from a really bad flu or some sort of really bad illness, anything that the body requires a really intense amount of energy to do. That's why women get it more with the pregnancy side. It can, for want of better words, like blow the hypothalamus in your brain, blow the fuse of that. And that part of your brain governs the autonomic functions of your body. So your breathing, your food moving through your body.
Nervous system, right?
Yeah. I think again, I'm probably butchering everything, but this is very rough. The book that I found, or from his lecture, I found he had a book called From Fatigue to Fantastic, and that's this holistic, simple regime of flipping this, because he says is like these intense energy things, and it shuts down that movement of food through your belly, and then that causes all these knock-on effects, and also causes a widespread inflammation, which can cause all them other knock-on effects. So there's so much research now.
I think I need to read this book.
But there's so much research now to couple it with, especially recently, with the microbiome and how important that is. Second brain, this immune system, this feeling center, this heart center in a way. Reason why you feel that whoop in your stomach is because that's where you have all these nerves, and that's where you got this thinking brain is there. It's your gut feeling always words that part. And when that's out of whack, because insert reason here, that has massive consequences. I've read a few books recently where they just blew my mind how wide-reaching and effective and how much of an effect it has on your whole life, to your mental state, depression, anxiety, your physical state, your relationships, your whole life. And it's wild that we've been pumping people full of antibiotics for how long now? I had loads when I was a kid. Like whenever I got a chest infection from whatever, it was antibiotics from the doctors. That's happened all through this time. And then now, we've got antibiotic resistance on the rise, and all this sort of shit and not once do they talk about probiotics. That's only just coming about now, fairly recently, right? Like the talk of, we need to talk about trying to replace that good bacteria that we're just sweeping through, just fucking rinsing with this antibiotic. So like a lot of people, that gets to be part of the journey. So Dr. Teitelbaum, I remember I reached out to him in an email actually, and just reached out, and I'm curious if I could find that email actually. And like a real desperate last ditch attempt, like, hi, I've seen your lecture online and really can't do this. Can I have help? And please, anything you can do to sort of help out would be amazing. And he reached out and just classic, like, plugged his book, but said in a really kind way. I would as well. He's written this beautiful book that's gone through so many editions because it's just so good.
Yeah, and it's probably got all the information in it anyway.
Exactly. Right? Like, but it was with this really kind, like he knew, like, I mean, someone who's dealt with the suffering, and that's the reality of it. It's like attached because of the system and the so-called incurability of it to a lot of suffering, like a lot of unnecessary suffering. And that's just really sad.
So when you say unnecessary suffering, you mean because it is curable?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it for mine, and it's a big complex situation, really. The autoimmune diseases, by definition, is such a, like saying that's like just like a whole category of things, of causes and symptoms and expressions of your body being in a disorder that it sort of attacks itself.
Yes.
And there's even more. There's some like really ridiculously rare autoimmune diseases that have these other functions, but so like more common ones like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, things like this that are on the rise.
IBS, but that's not really autoimmune, but
I think it's similar though. It's on those lines of like, it's not, it's this disorder that the body then essentially, I mean, IBS can get really bad, like you can go into Crohn's, and then that's full-blown autoimmune. You have to remove your large intestines and parts of your intestines because your body's just rejecting it. And then you've got the causes of them, like what is a cause by. Sometimes it's like from a really bad trauma. Sometimes it's from sometimes it's from these flu, this illness, like you said, like this pregnancy, the energy thing. Sometimes it's sometimes it's adverse reactions to vaccines.
There's so many different causes.
So that's like the first part for it for me. It's like that, and then as you go into this inevitable horrible, cycle of not knowing what's going on, but getting worse. Which can be really scary. Like that's the time when I thought I was dying, basically, because it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and the doctors are gaslighting me, telling me I'm absolutely fine because he's done one fucking blood test.
Did you know that when you went there, were you like, no, you don't trust what they're saying? Like,
one of the first doctors down that line was did one blood test and saw that it was generally fine within the averages, and then told me that there's nothing wrong with me. It's all in my head.
Oh,
yeah. Like said it very aggressively, like because I was pleading with him to say no, there's something wrong with me.
Dude, that's mad. I mean, I had very similar things. So my white blood platelet went down, and it was like this immediate thing. And I just remember going to the doctor, and he measured it, and he was like, "Oh, it was like on 80, and it's supposed to be on like 120 to like 180 or something like that." And I was like, "That's pretty freaking low." And he was just like, "Oh no, it's fine." And I was like, "What?" Very similar.
So annoying. And then in that sort of flippant response, and I don't judge this doctor because he was the product of the system, which is the NHS, which is a defunded, stripped, bare bones, overworked system, right?
But, and also just Western medicine.
Yeah. This targeted big pharma.
Big pharma, exactly.
And then these people are just the product of it. Like they've been on the front line so long, they become dehumanized and disassociated from any semblance of care. Like that word is well out the door. So true. Care is gone in our system in the NHS at the moment. For now, it's still lingering. I take that back. It is still there by the hard hitting people, and also people from other countries like Nigeria coming over and keeping our NHS working and functional. So there's caring people in there too, but it seems like few and far between.
And also just like how you said it affects your mental state as well. I noticed that so often. Like
little break, little breath. Take a nice breath. Audience with us, breathing in, breathing out. Consensually, if you want to. So I dropped it in there. It's good though. I love it. I love I love the power of one breath. Like this one time, like sidetrack. This one time I was in a conscious festival, less booze, more talking. And this wise wizard walked past me and was like, there's a lot of power in one breath. Oh no, he said, he was like, you can do anything in one breath. And I was like, wow. He sat with me and I was like, surely some people out in the world can do that. And I was like, that gave me then like a little bit of a.
But I don't know, when I hear it as well, it's also reminding me like you can change so much.
That's it.
As well.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Your frequency can adjust, and I like to think that even if I can't do the one breath thing, then I can do it most of the time at 3.
Yes.
Like get back to our frequency.
So how it affects your mind, because for me, like the pain when it's like so painful, and it's like throughout the day and you're dealing with it, it's like it just starts to get these negative thoughts. It just happens naturally, And then I remember as well going one time and they're like, "Oh, you experienced depression." I'm like, "This is not depression," because I know that it's coming from the pain. But then they just really want to just put you in that, so that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, again, just another plaster on a exhausted healthcare worker who has no time, one symptom at a time, 10-minute appointments. Any more than one symptom, then you've got this whole fucking journey to try and fight for the time. And it's what I'm saying about the suffering is that, like, from start to finish in our NHS right now, our National Health Service, which we've all got this pride over, which is why it still exists in some form, is now imbued with this unnecessary BS and lengthening of time and gaslighting and blocks and barriers to getting some sort of diagnosis and understanding of what's going on in your body, that it just causes untold suffering up and down the country.
Yeah, that's
of all ages.
Yeah,
and in all ways, you talk about mental side of it, the effect on the mind. And sort of loop back to what I was saying about the source. It's no matter the source cause, because you're going through chronic pain and chronic your life getting fucked, and then you get that initial gaslighting, which I'm guessing then lots of people go through the same journey that I did of like, oh my god, when's this getting worse? Is it going to stop, or is it going to go all the way to dying? Like, does it just continue? That then, of course, brings up all your traumas, brings up your life to yourself, brings up all of your shit, brings up all of your darkness and unhealed stuff, and that. So then it's really interesting that like generally what I feel must happen is with the intensity of the experience, going through autoimmune where your body's actually fighting itself, that then brings up all these other areas to which can make it go worse, like compound it really.
Yeah,
then
and
the mind comes in,
exactly,
you're like depressed and stuff like that, but ain't the cause all the time.
Yes, exactly. That's
and
not
that's
the
where
cause all the time.
that's
Yes,
where the gaslighting can come in.
yes.
It's like, oh babe, you're depressed. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm
No.
depressed because of this illness, this pain,
'Cause
this,
yeah.
and it's a symptom of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
100%.
make that gaslight me into making that the
Yeah.
cause.
Yeah, because I noticed whenever the pain would come, my mind, like literally almost immediate, would be like going down some hole.
Yeah. I gaslight myself after that appointment. I was walking from that appointment, from that doctor being like, there's nothing wrong with you. And then I was walking, as I was walking home, in pain, every step going, maybe there isn't something wrong with me.
But this,
and then literally in my brain, I was like, ouch, ouch, okay, fuck off. Because I'm now, and to the point where I was in pain and I still, that thought came through the brain of like, oh, maybe there.
But that's what gaslighting does. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It makes you question your own, like, sanity. And
to that point where I was like, I had done a good 200 steps before then, and every single one of them painful. And then it still came through and I still considered it. And then I was like, ouch, ouch, no.
Yeah, and I feel like these things are so powerful because so often we rely on this medicine, this doctor, this, you know, and like you said, if from a young age you were, you know, your parents gave you the antibiotics and everything, and it's like, but then because this is what happened to me, it's like you realize they just don't know what is going on. Like, you know, it's just like such a big wake up call, you know?
It's generationally too, yeah.
Yes.
Really, really, and that's why like the non-judgment comes in again, because
true.
It's just like weird, different sets of challenges. No one generation worse or off or just twisted in its own way. I mean, back in the day, we say we have challenges now with internet and technology, and it is a new kind of challenge. We'll say definitely with the bigger things. We haven't even got on to AI yet. Coming to a podcast next time. Like I'm reminded of my friend in Australia and like her talking about back in Australia, it was like in the 80s growing up, 70s, 80s, that was like the 40s or 50s like over here, or maybe 50s or 60s over here. And it was all the newspapers.
What was
the communication of the narrative was all newspapers, and everybody read the same newspapers, and everyone delivered the same newspapers, and everyone chatted about those stories, and everyone like, so like that, imagine that like level of control and like of the narrative through like through the papers.
It's still happening because people, it's online now, people are still reading it, right? Yeah,
but at least we have a chance.
Exactly.
In all of the bullshit, the misinformation and the direction.
Yeah, because one of my friends is saying like now it's so controlled, but I was like, I think it was more controlled back then.
I think so.
When you didn't have any options, you only had the TV, 4 channels or whatever it was, you know?
Yeah, you just took your narrative from the BBC, ITV, or Channel 4, like.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Sky came along, and it was like, what?
Yeah, but it's interesting because I feel like that even now is making it possible for us to see what was always going on, you know?
But that's when the misinformation campaign comes in, or disinformation, whatever fucking word you want to do, bullshit campaign comes in.
I know.
It is because of that next level. We're getting way off topic. I love how we talk. Good luck keeping up with this topic. We're good. It is all on topic. It is all connected. And it
is, exactly.
It's this narrative, for instance, you got COVID, connection, easy one, connection. The narrative that was fed through their media channels, through the disinformation, misinformation, because of COVID, and then that's impact on the NHS, the National Health Service, when I had family members like bin bagged up on front lines because they didn't have the equipment, full of that fear frequency that's been pumped, like never before seen. And then the NHS is supposed to, already on its knees, is supposed to then cope with that. And all these staff, NHS staff, who are already on their knees, are then supposed to be able to cope with that. So it is all connected. That's just one avenue of how the bullshit narrative impacts directly the NHS, and then that impacts that doctor down the line, who then went to then diagnose someone who's been working however many days, and maybe they've left now because it was too much, or it's
I mean, that's the whole to go down. Like, there's so much that's connected to that.
Yeah, the NHS, but that journey is.
But yeah. So you were just dealing with chronic pain basically throughout those 2.5 years, right?
Yeah. Yep. Keyword chronic in that, non-stop, no relentlessness.
And then were there points of, like, you said that they would have told you that it's you just have to live with it.
So, cognitive behavioral therapy is what they prescribe.
That's what. So in your head, what did you think to that? Because, like, obviously you were witnessing that they were saying these things and gaslighting you and, like, not really making sense. So were you thinking, no, I need to find a way out, or were you kind of thinking that might be my? Do you know what I mean?
Well, basically, like, there was a journey from, like, the NHS, gaslight, non-help, and then what happens is, with that, when they can't help, is that they prefer that, they then put you forward for private, but they, with stuff like this undiagnosed and unrecognized, or not as recognizable, as easily recognizable, then you have to pay for that. So I ended up paying like thousands of pounds, getting support, and, like,
just for the diagnosis,
just to get the diagnosis, which is actually as simple as a marker. I can't remember what marker it was, but, like, there was a marker in my blood that when they actually did the test, it was showing that, there was this widespread inflammation. I can't remember what it was called, but it took so much to get to that. It was unreal to get to that diagnosis of, like, okay, because you need that. Like, in some ways, it was the hardest thing to get, but having that name on it, like anyone with a chronic illness will know, is like, when you get that diagnosis, and not even when it's chronic illness, but when it's something like ADHD. I've got like half my family's ADHD, and, like, having that diagnosis can again be the most beautiful thing in the world, because at least then you can't be gaslit and be called crazy anymore. You've got this word that you even know, what it is. Oh, great! I have a word to Google. I have a word to understand what's going on in my body. And until that point, the undiagnosed land in between, the no man's land, is just pure torturous in some ways, especially when you're getting worse. So
it's interesting. I think I did go a different route.
Yeah.
Because I think, I was seeing, whenever, like, I went to the doctor, and I did it for a while. Like, at the beginning, I was like, what's going on with me? And I kept going back and back and back. It just didn't give me anything. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I don't need it. Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, and I also think I consciously was like, I don't want that diagnosis anyway, because they're just going to send me on some nonsense like, oh, incurable or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like,
you did the right thing, because that was a load of bullshit. Really, I paid $3,000 to be told that I needed cognitive behavioral therapy, and then actually in the end sorted it out myself.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a lot of suffering there as well. So well done. You did the right thing to just take control of it and then chew it.
Yeah, exactly. And then because again, it's like, I know, I can feel what's going on in my body. I know there's, the fatigue is here, the inflammation, which also took me a long time to come to realize. And it's so wild when I look at pictures now, like, of myself back then. You can literally see the inflammation in my body.
Yeah, this world is like sort of made to cause inflammation in some ways.
Yeah.
All of the environmental things, especially in cities, maybe not. Yeah, there's all these different things that we've got now coming in our bodies that can cause inflammation. Just so wild that I guess disregarded.
So I know it's this, and that's what it is as well, isn't it? Inflammation. That's what people say is the diseases. It's inflammation of
Yeah.
And it's just like water, right? Because when I look, when it, like, I had put on weight, but it wasn't even weight. It was just like this puffy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because your body, like, swells up to sort of deal with the inflammation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like this, this constant healing process.
Yes,
that your body's like having to expend to keep yourself in check and keep yourself functional when it's been attacked or inflaming, which is a response to being attacked or not being well.
So you got the diagnosis,
Yeah.
and then they told you, oh,
Cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yeah.
which is like, I'm not dissing on that as a treatment as well.
Yeah,
Like, that
yeah.
essentially is what I ended up doing for myself in a different format, but
Well, okay.
retraining your brain to change the stories that we carry in our brain. So you go through all this beautiful process on the NHS, and then you get to the end where they get to tell you that, oh, you need to change the stories that are in your brain. So you need to tell yourself that don't tell yourself that you're ill, that you got this illness. You just tell yourself that, you're reframing it. I actually didn't do it. I think I did like one part of it and just like fucked it off, because I was like, no, that's not. I refuse to have that as the end result.
Yeah.
I'm doing that anyway. Actually, was what I said to them. I was like, look, I wouldn't be where I'm at now if I hadn't reframed and worked on this internal world.
Love that.
So I don't need someone else to then come in and tell me that's the end and be all. So I just gave up again after that. Just gave up, left it.
Wow.
And I think, there's a shout out to cannabis for giving me that back, giving me that sense of like hope again, the inflammation to come down, the depression to come down, was because I was self-dosing with cannabis. And that's the reason, that was the reason that I got the chance to do the next steps, because otherwise I would have been on these anti-inflammatories, which are shit for your belly. They give you ulcers, and you have to take these other chemicals, or omeprazole, to be able to take them ones, because they're really bad for your stomach lining. And like, antidepressants are this long drawn out process of getting them in your system. Like standard SSRIs takes 6 weeks to come in, and then you have to take them off, but you got to be careful with that. And like, mate, I've been there, like, just too mellow. It's not me. But yeah, ganja was my saving grace and gave me that second chance to just begin hoping again, to give a shit about life and find joy and have a giggle and eat food and get the calories in.
And then, and you read the book, right? And so you followed a protocol from the book, is it?
Yeah. Well, the ganja was what got me through, but wasn't the cure. Like, it wasn't going to be able to cure it. It was just a beautiful band-aid. But more than that, it was much more than that. It was a deep experience internally to play within that world. It will bring you in, and it will bring up these things. And no matter if you're in the shower, I found, or in the car, and the goddess, the essence that is ganja, to me, like, we really facilitated that healing process in so many ways. It was the cure was this book, and it had a holistic. I wouldn't even say it was the full cure. It was the one that got, when you're on these chronic fatigue things, you'll know, like energy percentages become a thing to talk about. Like, that's the thing. Like, I might, like, here you are, world, like, welcome to, if you're spotting someone who's on, like, communicates about them saying 20% energy, 30% energy, there's a good chance that they're dealing with some long-term shit.
I didn't even know that. Like, but I instinctually started doing it for myself.
Yeah, it's an
I was like measuring my healing.
Yeah, it's an instinctual thing, because you're on such low levels as well, and fluctuation, or is that word? Fluctuating levels as well. That's the only way.
Fluctuating, sure.
Yeah, it's a way to communicate. And so going from what I was 5% a day, and any single another 5% would have felt incredible. It did feel incredible.
Yes.
And Dr. Teitelbaum's From Fatigue to Fantastics on Amazon is it gives you the pharmaceutical version and the natural version of this holistic treatment, which involves resetting your gut biome, getting them energy levels going again in your mitochondria, souping up these vitamins and minerals, and getting all these sort of things back in check, which degrade over time or go shit over time because you haven't got the energy to function and feed yourself properly and exercise and get sunlight and all these things. So that treatment that you can choose parts of whatever you want to do. I think I did the biome reset, which included the antibiotics. Key point where they're not going to tell everybody that it's curable, because you can't go and give millions of people a fat dose of antibiotics with probiotics and antifungals. But the key point is the antibiotics, because the rise of antibiotic resistant superbugs.
But it works for you, right?
That's one of the ways to reset your biome when it's so out of whack.
And it's interesting because you said you also had been taking it from previous, like when you were younger. And
when I had it, yeah, because there was not one blip about probiotics in this.
Yeah,
so
okay,
when you're on this regime, he gives you the antibodies, the
And-
the antifungals, and in between those, you take probiotics and really start eating good to get those gut flora back in, the good stuff. Because that's what it is. It's just a tilt of
balance,
of shit food, not looking after yourself, and that comes from this fatigue, this chronic fatigue that then you're well and good doing your diet and looking after yourself when you're happy and healthy and like got energy, but like doing that while you're exhausted and on 5% energy, it's like just all that much more harder to look after yourself. So it's really just getting that back on track. But that's why they can't then go because of them pumping animals in factory farms full of antibiotics to stop the diseases that would be there because they're so unhealthy of an environment to exist in, running rampage and them losing money. They pump them full of antibiotics. Many people know already it's not certainly not tinfoil hat stuff. This is like known. And then what happens is humans can't take antibiotics. Antibiotics aren't profitable by big pharma to look for anymore because they're cures instead of these long-term health things. So they stop looking for those. And then we're left with these bacteria that are becoming resistant because they're being overexposed to these antibiotics that we use for humans as well. And now they're resistant, so they can't then go and they're already saying like, don't give antibiotics. What they should have been saying in the 90s and noughties was like, don't just go wild with antibiotics, doctors. Don't just fucking prescribe it with every chest infection. They will go through it. But just fucking dishing out, and then now they don't have, they can't go and dish it out to 5 million people. So instead, they gaslight them and say, "Oh, you got to live with it for the rest of your life, and it's not curable." It's wild. There's so much suffering. It is.
But what I find interesting about this guy is that he had two different. One's the natural route, and one's the medical pharmaceutical route, and it's pretty cool. Just because it's like depending where people are at,
Yeah, and I went big pharma. Full big pharma, and I wouldn't do that now. But in that time of desperation,
you were, exactly. Yeah. You were desperate.
I was fully desperate. 2.5 years in, relationship on the rocks, gonna fail. I would have took anything to get it going. And I think maybe if it would just be nicer if you had someone on support, as a practitioner of some kind, to help guide you and say, look, let's try that natural first. It might work.
Wow.
Because it was a rough ride.
Really?
The pharmaceutical version was horrible.
How long was it?
Me and my ex decided to go to France to get a teetotal on everything, the ganj. I never call it the ganj. The green is what I call it. The green goddess. And everything else, drinking as well. Like we had a few drinks now and again, sugar, just going teetotal. So we went out to France to do that and start this treatment of antibiotics, antifungals, probiotics, souped up vitamin B12, multivitamins with ridiculous levels of stuff in, and like all the other stuff that I had to get online legally to be able to do this myself. And then, because at that point, literally as well, there's no losses. Like my life was fucked, my relationship was going to be fucked. I thought I was like going to continue, like it's going to get worse, or like there's nothing to lose at that point. And everything to gain when this guy came along with this theory as to how you can cure it. So we did it, and it was actually really rough. Like relationship was not made easier for that. We did do yoga every day. I'm like, shout out to my ex. He was a legend for dealing with it all. It was so impactful on the partner and the family around them when they have these chronic illnesses. It's about the person going through it, but it's also deeply about the people around them that suffer a lot too. Taking them to doctors, not knowing what's going on, seeing it getting worse, seeing it affect that person, change. So we had a really rough time of it out there, and then took away all of our little crutches and band-aids, and so you can imagine it all just got like flung, and the awareness wasn't really there to be like, okay, of course we're having these arguments because we just took away all of these and we're going through this. It was, you're a cunt. What? Going all the way in the C-bomb. It was directed at each other, targeted at like, you're the problem, blah blah. But so it wasn't it wasn't good. And the antifungals can cause die-offs of like yeast and candida, like that can release a lot of toxins, and So yeah,
From a
again,
purging, I guess.
again, it was like feeling ill and like the shits, basically. It was
Wow.
just straight through.
So, and how long was it?
How long was it?
The treatment.
I can't remember now. It was a good 6 weeks of antibiotics, antifungals, probiotics, and then I think like 3 months of certain things like the B12, which then increases your red blood cells, which is more oxygen to your blood and helps with that. And it's all this like the reset the biome reduces the inflammation, which then helps with all of the other things. And yeah, it was this really challenging thing, and it was 6 8 weeks, 3 months, but it really helped.
So it helped. Yeah. So
Yeah,
when did you feel it?
like
Not
pretty
during.
instantaneously with certain parts of it.
Oh,
Obviously not
really?
during the shit,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the literal
yeah,
shit
yeah,
phase,
yeah, yeah.
but it was pretty quickly though. After that, I started getting like 5% more energy, like 10% more energy, 25% more energy, and then that then gives you the chance to then start eating right, start looking after yourself, start getting the exercise in, start having hope again. Um,
Wow. Yeah.
and that helps you to do the extra work that needs to get you across the finish line with this autoimmune. I think it's like a whole body experience. Whole body,
So I'm intrigued. So like I remember for me, just when it happened, I was really like, "What? This is like I was like such a different person to what I was before." You know. So how like from before when you were completely fine, and then when you went through the treatment and everything, what is the difference there as well? Like.
I mean, that's where the catalyst comes in, really, isn't it? It's chronic pain. Like anything chronic pain
Yeah.
either makes or breaks you.
And then now, but like after you've done the treatment and everything, after you found it, are you also do you feel like you are still different to what you were before, like energy wise, you know?
Anyway, I think I'm more powerful.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
definitely. Being
Oh.
coy, but yeah, definitely the growth
Really?
that comes with it, and then coming out the other side of chronic pain, chronic illness, and now landing into my body or listening to my body, more powerful within my body, and yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, I think it makes or breaks you.
Okay.
And yeah,
Now I
if
see
by
what you mean.
break it means you carry on suffering or you kill yourself. That's
Gotcha.
too much. So you either go that way or you come out on top and fortify yourself and stronger and be.
And energetically, like levels, you think that you
I'm
actually
fucking
get
powerful now.
amazing.
I'm powerful.
Wow.
I do a lot more physically, exercise wise, cycling everywhere. Like I kind of wish I was with my ex back in the day when I had this level. So he loves cycling, and I'd love to go and cycle. I couldn't sort of keep up with him on these physical levels because of the illness. So I wonder,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So and then when you came out of the treatment, like you said, it was 5% more, 5%. So was it a gradual increase back
Yeah,
to?
yeah, it was
Amazing, yeah.
But it was a beautiful one because you're gaining these energy points, these energy percentages, which every single 1% of those feels amazing.
You feel it, yeah.
Really feels incredible.
Love that.
My car's just randomly chilling here.
And so after that as well, you so then the 2020 thing happened after that, and the warehouse.
Yeah, and that's when the spiritual side came in. Was like one of my first teachers.
Oh yeah.
With Path of Ish and
Yes.
that journey, and what a beautiful way to start that spiritual journey, like straight away coming into, because the Jaguar, like learnings of the Ish, the Jaguar is the energies of that is from my takings was to learn to not only like come through for your darkness and see it, but also to dance in that darkness, dance through that jungle like the Jaguar does, make it your territory, make it your home, and in that then reclaim your power and see that sort of stuff. So then through that I was able to reconnect with my mum and rekindle that beautiful relationship, which was made so much stronger for it. And shout out to my mama for birthing me and holding me and coming back to me and coming back to herself. She's an incredible woman that went through a lot, and that deep journey was like that remembrance of the feminine in my life and that mother matriarchal lineage and how powerful it is, and the healing of that on an energetic level from, I suppose, what would be forgiveness and awareness that my parents weren't infallible and they were quite actually the opposite. And
Yeah.
I think every parent is.
Yeah, I think we all go through that journey of realizing, because when you're a child, you think it's like,
yeah, they nurture you, they look after you, that you wouldn't exist without them.
Yeah.
And then it's just that uncoupling and remembering that
Yes,
we are
totally.
different people, and how does that look when it changes and it goes bad.
And also, you even like just seeing friends having children now, it's like it puts everything in perspective. I think it's like we're also just learning,
Yeah, relearning how to be human and what that looks like in a non-toxic,
Yes,
avoidant way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful journey, and that the path of Ish, like truly, I think I didn't even complete it properly. It like got so much and intense, and but I did in some ways completed it myself, and the learnings that I got from that was this launching pad of, like, people always say to me, this love and light, you're like laughing, you're always da da da, you're always in this sort of style and this way, and it's like interesting that if you do the work, like you do the work, the shadow work, so called, the bringing back parts of yourself that you just don't associate with or actively avoid or actively like fuck off, then you can get, but then what that does is it brings you back to the light, I believe. Through that darkness you come back to the light, and
totally.
and the wholeness, and then you can feel joy again, can feel love for your mother again, can feel.
Yeah, because I feel like, and this is definitely has been coming up a lot, and I've had a lot of people talking about just the mother wound and the feminine. We've been having a conversation, and it's so connected. And also just like, moving through that like blame of just like, maybe I think so many people have dealt with this, like parents who, I don't know, didn't show up in the way that you wanted them to, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, you can have that forgiveness and moving through that.
I recommend it. I highly recommend it. I prescribe it. There's the prescription for you all is to learn to forgive your parents.
Oof, yes.
While they're still here.
While they're still here, that's
because
huge.
my mama was nearly not here a year ago, and just there's one thing to gain from that misery and horribleness of parents, or can be that trauma, that horribleness of like your parents dying or nearly dying and things like that, is that the one silver lining is that renewed appreciation. Anybody dying, anybody becoming ill and nearly dying, the one benefit to that horrible situation is got to be like a renewed appreciation, right, for life. And to not take things for granted, it's got to be the one. Certainly one that I've found. That's
amazing. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like there's it's such an elusive thing, this autoimmune, and it's amazing to hear someone who's actually gone through the healing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, two people like you too, and I'd love to like flip it around if we had all this time. We're already, I don't know what time we're on now, but like I'd love to hear about your story and your journey and how you did, because like you said, it was a different modus operandi. Like you did differently. It was. I think that's one of the key parts to this holistic journey, is that there's not one cure all to this.
Yeah. Well, like you said as well, it also has different sources, like comes from causes.
Why, different causes, different roots, different symptoms, and different symptoms even. We have the commonalities, but how that expresses itself and how you express it. So it's really, I think, more stories like this where people share their journey of healing, because it can be done. That's the main thing. Have hope.
It can be done.
Have hope. It doesn't have to all be that big pharma antibiotics way. It doesn't have to be this. Doesn't have to just be the therapy way. But like finding out what your root is for it can I recommend it if it is a trauma based event or something like that, that's dealable by going inward and healing that trauma and bringing it to light. Then do try that, because that's going to be part of it anyway. I think when you're going through that even if it's like me, like, or others, in like grounded in environmental sources, then that process, as we are saying, like brings up the trauma that needs to be healed anyway. So you might as well give that a go first. Like work on your shit, and then if that's not.
I'm happy you said that, just because I feel like, especially that I've learned from my journey, that is one of the biggest things that isn't spoken about. It's always just like trying to fix it materialistically, but actually the trauma is huge.
I think that's the one thing we can all relate over, like Abba Mati says, is like the one like planetary relation is a trauma.
It's true.
Some version,
Everyone,
all
literally.
different levels as well,
Yes.
but all relatively shit.
Yes,
like,
that's so
to
true.
the person.
Even just what's happening in your country, and
Yeah, big traumas, little traumas, personal traumas, worldwide, global traumas,
exactly,
intergenerational
lockdown.
traumas, now traumas. Like, yeah, we are relating. Like, and if this is the banner that we relate over, so be it.
Yes.
I think it's probably the one, right, with all the shit that we're dealing with. Then it's like, okay, well, we can find commonality through that. We can find common ground.
So also, just do you feel like moving through this healing has it allowed you to see the world in a different way as well? Like,
big time.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be where I am without that. I would be sat on an island being a marine biologist in the Azores.
That's wild. It's whole different.
Doing the ocean route, whereas now I'm multiple projects. Literally started off by wanting to create a charity to give back. I think when you think you're dying and going through this deep journey, then the natural human thing to do, and people saying humans are inherently horrible, inherently bad, actually I feel like they're inherently good and inherently they reach out to people when the time gets shit. And that's what I did. I was like nearly homeless, went through this horrible journey, and then ended up wanting to start to create a charity that can help homeless people through that, because it's just like, fuck it, well, what's the point? Like, what's the problem? Like, let's just do it. What's the barrier here? Oh, it's some paperwork or some policy or whatever. It's like, nah, like if I'm gonna be in the situation, then I'm gonna reach out to others. It produces empathy. I think it can produce like a level of empathy.
Even just because the pain that you have to feel yourself, and I think as well, just the medical industry is such a big disillusionment. Like, I feel like anyone who goes through that, then you can see through layers. Do you know what I mean, of what's taking place?
Yeah, because you've gone through that suffering and that horribleness, and like, again, it's like some people don't get through that. Some people leave the planet and this life instead, and that's we're here, but we're surviving. But it's like, let's not forget the people that didn't survive, that couldn't do it because it's so hard and so horrible. Yeah. It's not good out there, people. There's a lot of shit, but also through that darkness comes light. It's in the darkest hour that the light shines brightest. If you see a candle 2 kilometers away in the dark, well, I didn't say that right. You can see a candle like 2 kilometers away in the dark.
Gotcha.
So if it's dark, you can see it ages away, that light. And that's because in that contrast of the darkness, that light shines brightest then. That's when it shines brightest. And that's what we're doing here now, I believe, in this life experience. Totally what we're doing, yes. It's a lot of transmuting. Yeah, a lot of shining through that darkness, and I think honoring that as well. So it was this big, beautiful catalyst that I wouldn't change for the world. It was always suffering, but actually I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing to try and my little puzzle piece to help the planet. I would be in a very different situation. I think that comes through that, maybe back to that ties of that being in that workhouse horrible situation where we were timed with every minute during lockdown, showing me the camaraderie of humanity. That's surely through empathy, right? When it gets shit, we reach out for each other to help, to support, to look out for each other. And I just feel like that's symbolic in a way of what we're doing. That's amazing, because there's a lot of people stuck. And also we were stuck. We were there at one point in the pain, and it's like sometimes you can't see. And this question came up the other day, actually. It's like, because what you're sharing now is just a lot of gratitude for what you went through, right? But how can you be in gratitude when you are literally in the pain? Do you know what I mean? Like, so hard. It's like the hardest time, man, right? It's the hardest time when you're surrounded by that darkness to shine. Just to be in your light, to have hope. It's hard, but that's when it's most needed. That's when we need to hold that light. That's when we need to make extra effort to find the way and find the willpower to find the way. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's what my mama say. And as a little kid, and it's true in many ways. It's where there is a will, there is a way. But sometimes it's the willpower is there to find the way. And even see it. Like there's a lot of willpower to be like, there is a way here. I've just got to find it. And also, like, even some of what you shared is like you go to these points where it's just so low and you're just like, and then you give up, and then you come back again. You know what I mean? It's like, it's Phoenix. You just needed to pause. You got a Phoenix here. It's that journey, that story that we all love seeing on film. And that what do they call it? Like the character peak and
the hero's journey.
Hero's journey, all these words.
Yes.
Phoenix rising.
Exactly, this is it.
I actually dream of a world that we get to so beautifully that we don't have to learn these lessons as the only way through suffering.
Yeah, well, this is something that has been coming up a lot as well, and I think that's the point. Like, and people say, but if there's no suffering, how will we learn? That's just because that's what we've experienced and what we've known. But there's definitely.
Do
you know what I
mean? Definitely other things other than this fucking playbook.
Oh my God, yes, I love that you said that.
I'm seeing it, like I'm having the joy and the privilege of seeing conscious gatherings and circles and friends, little ones that are being brought up in this environment, connected to nature, that are having that chance to show that, to be human in its most beautiful way and not marred by all these stories and intergenerational traumas, because the mum and the dad are doing the work.
Well, I was just going to say that, because exactly when you have the conscious parenting, or like trying to be conscious,
try their best,
and then the children are coming in with whole different
and that's like that world, like more and more and more is happening regardless. Like we've already won. That's the words here. It's like we've already won. It's just we choose how we get there. We get to choose how we get there.
Love that. So what does freedom mean to you?
Interesting at connecting those words synchronicity, because it means to me that like the ability to even, the privilege to even be where I'm at now, to say, to know that in my soul, like in my being, that we have already won. Like that is a freedom, right?
Oh my word, I love that. Yeah,
that's
because it changes so many things.
Yeah, that's a privilege to be able to be where I'm at. Like a lot of people aren't there and don't believe or remember that we have won, because they're surrounded by suffering, and no wonder.
And they're in the darkness. And
let me be that reminder that through that darkness comes a light, I believe, and we can fucking do this. We've got this. Like we got this. And now we just get to choose our individual little puzzle piece that comes together in the bigger puzzle piece, and just do the thing. Don't be scared. Just do the thing, no matter how big or small. Don't do nothing. Like that's the key to this situation. The bar's real fucking low at the moment. It's just don't do nothing. People, don't do nothing. Wake up. Like, but meaning go, if you've been thinking these thoughts, to go and clean up some litter in your park, amazing. Go do it. You gotta go help that person homeless and they wants a little bit of hand. Go do it. So it doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter like how big it is. It doesn't have to be this big, grandiose plan to save the world. In fact, actually, the world, I think it will be saved by people doing those small things
100%.
all together. We can change it overnight if we all did those small things. We can change the game. Imagine if every single person in this country, we're like 70 million or whatever, overnight did one thing that they've been meaning to do for the betterment of the world or people around them. No matter how big or small. That'd be fucking great. We'll wake up the next day like, wow, this looks amazing. Look at all the pretty things. There's no homeless people. And like, wow. And like,
it's interesting. It's like, well, then that requires us to like exit the matrix of it. Do you know what I mean? The 3D.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Come into the creativity.
Because there's all these stories that come in the 3D as well. Like how I feel like what you shouldn't do, how you can't do, got to keep it the same, and and always barriers, and then nothing gets done. And we all just narrate ourselves to the edge of the cliff. Oh no, we've got no food. Oh no, we've got no heating. Oh no, we've got no connection. Oh no, we've got this. And then I'm not willing to do that anymore. I'm not willing to just sit there and narrate ourselves to death.
And blame other people.
Kick each other along the way. That's great. Like fuck that. Fuck that.
Literally, because then it's like I'm taking control. Actually.
And through like love, right? Through kind acts and that's what will change this. I think it's not the big grandiose acts, but the many small ones.
Well, the next question I was going to ask you is like, how do you see us progressing this idea of the new earth and everything? You kind of answered it in a way, but if there's anything else you want to add.
Just a little bit. We ain't got long. We should be on the next podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe. Or we get together and just
Yeah.
What does that look
because,
like?
because you even hosted your festival and it was all around that question, right?
Dreamweavers,
Yes.
shameless plug. Dreamweavers. There's a reason why the emblem is a phoenix. Like it was all around that, and we're getting practical about that.
Exactly.
Dreaming. Yes, we dream. Yes, some of us have the privilege to dream. That's the truth of it. The chance, the time, the space, the energy, the possibility. And then there's another step on top of that, which is like, how do we then, with these people, get practical about what we do? Because otherwise, just narrating ourselves just to the end of the cliff.
Totally.
Fuck that.
Totally.
That's not. We can. Really, the last little hope piece is like, I think we have we've already won, because no matter how dark it gets, humanity, I don't know about your lastminute.com life as well, but like, when the essay needs to get in, the paper, the thing needs to be done, like there's no motivation, like, oh, lastminute.com, oh, fucking sponsored. But I think it's an inherent human trait. One of the inherent ones, more natural ones, is to leave it till the last minute these days, especially with all of the world that's going on. But like, leave it till the last minute until you see how shit it is, and then we do a fucking U-turn collectively.
Gotcha, yeah.
So I think that's how it's going to go down, and then we get in that journey. We get to choose.
Yes,
we're already in. I believe we're choosing as we go what we want to do differently, and that world actually facilitated by technology and AI and people's growth, internal growth, and that ascension. That it's a fucking beautiful world. We've got enough land, we've got enough people, we've got enough resources, we've got enough space and time, and we get to choose how we play with those recipe ingredients, really. It's a fucking beautiful world, and we can get through this. When we get through this, it's for our kids, our grandkids, and for us, actually, because it's no longer for the next generation that we need to make it better. We need to either make it better now or it goes to shit. The technology and all these other things at play are too big, too crossroady to just kick it down to the next generation as well as, we want to make it better for the kids, but also for now, because otherwise the kids ain't going to have a world to come to go into. So yeah, I don't know why I'm getting all serious, but it's a serious point. I think it is to try to not give up.
Yeah, totally.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
It's interesting you're saying about the last minute, because I feel like I keep hearing like at the 11th hour the solution will be presented to you as well.
That's exactly the same. Yeah, that's it. I think that's how. Maybe that makes more sense in the grand scheme of the human experience that we come down to play with, is that we then get the fuller experience. It's a little bit much, to be fair, but maybe that's what it's divinely meant to be, is this cosmic earthbound U-turn away from this crap to then go into this golden age of what we do want, and because we know what we don't want. So let's do what we do want now.
Exactly. Yeah. Amazing.
Nice. Yeah, this can go on for ages, but I'm on 1 hour sleep.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, we can wrap up here. If you want to share anything else about what you do, I'll put your details in the comments.
Yeah. If you're here to build a new world, you want to get practical about it, and you've got great ideas for it, then come see me. Yeah. I've got many plugs and many things, but that's my main goal right now. So if that's alive in you, shout out to anyone who's listening. That resonates, and then let's link.
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing.
It's a pleasure.
Truly. Yeah, it's great to hear, and also just to hear the story that molded you into who you are now,
Everyone loves an origin story.
Yeah, totally.
I do too. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
All right. Oh, the card.
Oh, yeah.
On the card.
Here we go.
We've got time.
We got time.
Okay. Just I think I take a pick.
My vibes speak louder than my words.
You do have quite a good vibe. And you do good words too. That's
a good one. I like it. Yeah.
I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. Ooh. I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to it.
What a nice way to end it.
Awareness with the third eye too. And the rainbow. Yeah. Thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank
Hugs.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode and to this podcast. We hope that you can gain many insights through the art of listening. If you haven't already, we would love it if you can follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if that feels right for you. We've also just launched our first online course, Awakening 101, a ninja's guide to navigating your spiritual awakening, which is led by me and is offered via donation. So if you feel called to that, then please dive in. It's available via our website. Thank you.